The air shimmered like a mirage over the Mojave Desert, the Nevada sun blistering the cracked earth where Olivia Harper stood, her boots scuffing the dirt. A journalist for the Las Vegas Chronicle, Olivia was chasing a story about a mysterious artifact unearthed at a Dig Sitine obsidian amulet etched with hieroglyphs that didn't match any known script. The locals whispered it was cursed, but Olivia didn't believe in curses. She believed in deadlines, leads, and the truth. Her chestnut hair was tied back in a messy bun, her hazel eyes squinting against the glare as she snapped photos of the amulet cradled in the archaeologist's gloved hands. "Careful, Miss Harper," Dr. Evelyn Carter warned, her voice low. "This thing's older than anything we've dated. It's unnatural." Olivia smirked, adjusting her camera. "Unnatural's my beat, Doc. Spill what's the deal with this shiny rock." Evelyn hesitated, glancing at the amulet as if it might bite. "It's not just a rock. The glyphs suggest it's a key to what we don't know. But the energy readings are off the charts, like it's alive." Olivia's pulse quickened. A story like this could land her a Pulitzer. She leaned closer, her fingers brushing the amulet's cool surface. The world tilted. A hum filled her ears, low and resonant, like a chant from a forgotten god. Her vision blurred, the desert dissolving into a vortex of light and shadow. She screamed, but the sound was swallowed by the void. When her eyes opened, the desert was gone. She was sprawled on hot sand, the air thick with the scent of myrrh and baked earth. Towering above her was a city of limestone and gold, its spires piercing a sky so blue it hurt to look at. People bustled past, men in linen kilts, women in pleated dresses, their skin kissed by the sun. They spoke in a language that was both alien and familiar, their voices rising and falling like a song. Olivia's head spun. This wasn't Nevada. This wasn't 2025. She staggered to her feet, her jeans and leather jacket starkly out of place. The amulet hung around her neck, its weight unfamiliar. She hadn't put it on. Her phone was gone, her camera too. Panic clawed at her chest, but Olivia Harper didn't panic. She investigated, she adapted, she survived. "Where the hell am I?" she muttered, shielding her eyes against the sun. A man nearby, his arms laden with papyrus scrolls, stopped and stared. His eyes widened, taking in her strange clothes, her confident stance. You are not of Kemet," he said, his accent thick but understandable. "From whence do you come, woman of the stars?" "Kemet?" Olivia's mind raced. Kemet was the ancient Egyptian name for Egypt. Her heart skipped. "What year is this?" The man frowned, puzzled. "It is the 5th year of the reign of Pharaoh Amenhotep. May he live forever." Olivia's knees buckled. Amenhotep. That put her around 1000 BCE, give or take. She'd time-traveled the amulet. It had to be the amulet. She touched it, its surface warm against her skin, and felt a faint pulse, like a heartbeat. "Okay, Olivia," she whispered to herself. "You're in ancient Egypt, no big deal. You've covered riots, exposés, and that alien convention in Roswell. You got this." But she didn't. Not really. The city, likely Thebes, given its grandeur, was a labyrinth of narrow alleys and sprawling temples. The people were curious but wary, their whispers following her like a shadow. She needed a plan. She needed to blend in. And she needed a story. Because if Olivia Harper was stuck in 1000 BCE, she wasn't going to sit around braiding reeds. She was going to do what she did best: report the truth. The first week was chaos. Olivia bartered her leather jacket for a linen dress that clung to her curves, its simplicity oddly flattering. She kept her boots' practicality, trumped fashion, and hid the amulet beneath her clothes. She found lodging with a kind-eyed widow named Mirette, who ran a small bakery near the Nile. Mirette thought Olivia was a foreign trader, and Olivia didn't correct her. Lies were easier than explaining time travel. Thebes was a city of contrasts. Golden statues of gods loomed over mud brick homes, and the air buzzed with gossip. The people were hungry for news, but information was controlled by the priests and nobles. Rumors spread like wildfire. The Nile would dry up. The gods were angry. The Pharaoh was ill. Olivia saw an opportunity. If she could bring clarity to the chaos, she could make a name for herself. Maybe even find a way home. She started small. Mirette introduced her to a scribe named Khepri, a wiry man with ink-stained fingers and a sharp wit. Khepri was skeptical of Olivia's foreign origins, but intrigued by her ideas. When she described a newsletter, a single sheet of papyrus with news, gossip, and advice, laughed. "You wish to write for the people? The priests will have your head," he said, but his eyes gleamed with mischief. "Let them try," Olivia shot back, her smile daring. "I've faced worse than priests. Ever met a Vegas editor on a deadline?" Khepri didn't understand the reference, but he agreed to help. They set up in Mireille's back room, using a borrowed reed pen and papyrus scraps. Olivia's first issue was a hit. She wrote about a recent festival, debunked a rumor about a cursed harvest, and added a cheeky horoscope based on Egyptian gods. She called it the Nile Dispatch, a nod to her old paper. Khepri translated her words into hieroglyphs, his strokes precise and elegant. To distribute, Olivia stood in the marketplace, her voice cutting through the din. "Get your news here. Truth, not rumors. Know what's happening in Thebes." Her confidence drew a crowd. Men and women, young and old, clustered around, laughing at her strange accent but eager for her words. She handed out the papyrus sheets, her heart racing as she watched their faces light up. This was her element, connecting, informing, sparking change. But not everyone was pleased. A shadow fell over her stall one afternoon, cast by a man in a leopard skin cloak. His name was Pomus, a high priest of Amun, and his presence silenced the crowd. His eyes were cold, his voice smoother than oil. "You, woman," he said, his gaze raking over her, "you spread words without the temple's blessing. This is dangerous." Olivia didn't flinch. She'd faced down corrupt politicians and shady CEOs. A priest didn't scare her. "Dangerous? I'm just telling the truth, pal. People deserve to know what's going on." Tom's lips curled, not quite a smile. "The truth is for the gods to decide. Cease this dispatch, or you will regret it." He left, but his threat lingered. That night, Olivia lay awake in Mireille's spare room, the amulet heavy against her chest. She wasn't naive. Patams had power, and power meant trouble. But she wasn't backing down. If anything, his warning fueled her. There was a story: Hera corruption, control, secrets. She just had to find it. Weeks passed, and the Nile Dispatch grew. Olivia and Khepri expanded their network, recruiting a potter's apprentice named Anpu to distribute copies and a washerwoman named T to eavesdrop on noble gossip. Olivia's style, bold, witty, and unapologetic, captivated Thebes. She wrote about flooded fields, a merchant scam, even a scandal involving a noble's affair with a dancer. She nicknamed the Great Hypostyle Hall her newsroom, a joke that made Khepri snort. Her readers adored her, children chanted her name, and women slipped her tips about local disputes, but the nobles and priests grew restless. Whispers reached Olivia of closed-door meetings, of Tom's rallying allies to deal with the foreigner. She ignored them, too caught up in her mission. The people needed her, and, if she was honest, she needed them. Thebes was vibrant, alive, a puzzle she was determined to solve. One evening, as she and Khepri worked late, a boy burst into the bakery, breathless. "Olivia! Soldiers at the marketplace! They're burning your papers!" Olivia's stomach dropped. She ran, Khepri at her heels, the amulet bouncing against her skin. The marketplace was chaos. Torches lit the night, and soldiers in kilts tore through stacks of the Nile dispatch, tossing them into a bonfire. The crowd watched, murmuring, too afraid to act. Olivia's blood boiled. This was her work, her voice, her truth. "Stop!" she shouted, pushing through the crowd. The soldiers paused, startled by her audacity. Their leader, a broad-shouldered man named Amenhotep, stepped forward, his expression unreadable. "By order of the Pharaoh, these writings are forbidden," he said. "You will cease or face his judgment." Olivia's heart pounded, but she held her ground, her voice steady. "Judgment? For telling the truth? Tell your Pharaoh I'd love a chat. I've got questions." The crowd gasped. Horemheb's eyes narrowed, but a flicker of respect crossed his face. "Bold words, foreigner. Pray they do not cost you." He left, the soldiers following, the fire still crackling. Olivia stood among the ashes of her work, her fists clenched. Khepri touched her arm, his voice soft. "Olivia, this is bigger than us. Tams is behind this. We must be careful." "Careful?" She turned, her eyes blazing. "No, Khepri. We get louder. We dig deeper. If they want a fight, I'll give them one." That night, she dreamed of the amulet glowing, its light pulling her toward a stone archway carved with stars. A voice whispered, "The truth is your path, but the gate awaits." She woke, her skin tingling, the amulet warm against her chest. Thebes was her battleground now, but the dream lingered. A gate, a way home, or something else entirely. Olivia Harper wasn't just a journalist anymore. She was a spark in a city of shadows, and she was ready to burn. Thebes pulsed with life under the relentless Egyptian sun, but beneath its golden veneer, a storm was brewing. Olivia Harper, the time-displaced journalist from Las Vegas, had ignited a spark with the Nile Dispatch. Her papyrus newsletters, brimming with wit and truth, were the talk of the city. Market vendors quoted her headlines, children mimicked her bold American accent, and women whispered her name with a mix of awe and envy. But the flames of her rebellion had drawn the ire of the powerful, and the ashes of her burned papers still haunted her dreams. Olivia leaned against a limestone pillar in Murray's bakery, her linen dress clinging to her sweat-damp skin. The amulet, hidden beneath her clothes, pulsed faintly, as if sensing the tension in the air. Khepri, her scribe ally, hunched over a papyrus sheet, his reed pen scratching furiously. The room smelled of warm bread and ink, a strange comfort in this ancient world. "We can't stop, Khepri," Olivia said, her voice low but fierce. "Tams and his goons think they can scare me. They don't know who they're dealing with." Khepri glanced up, his dark eyes wary. "Olivia, you challenge the gods themselves. Tams is not just a priest, they controls the temple's wealth, the pharaoh's ear, Burning your papers was a warning. Next time, it will be you. She smirked, though her stomach twisted. Let him try. I've faced Vegas mobsters and survived. A guy in a leopard cape doesn't scare me. But bravado couldn't erase the truth. Thebes was a powder keg, and Olivia was a match. Her dispatch had exposed petty scams and noble gossip, but whispers of deeper corruption bribes, stolen grain, secret deals reached her through T, the washerwoman with a knack for eavesdropping. Olivia sensed a bigger story, one that could topple Ptahmes and his allies. She just needed proof. The plan was audacious, even for Olivia. She and Khepri would relaunch the Nile dispatch in secret, printing double the copies and distributing them at dawn, before the priests could interfere. Anpu, the potter's apprentice, recruited a network of street children to slip the papers into every corner of Thebes markets, temples, even noble estates. Olivia dubbed them her newsboys, a nod to the gritty kids who hawked papers in 1920s Chicago, a story she'd once covered for a history piece. To fund the operation, Olivia bartered her modern knowledge. She taught Murray to make a simple flatbread with a crispy crust, a hit with customers who called it the foreigner's bread. The extra coin bought papyrus and ink, but it also drew eyes. Strangers lingered near the bakery, their gazes too sharp. Olivia felt the weight of being watched, but she pushed it aside. Fear was a luxury she couldn't afford. The new dispatch was her boldest yet. She wrote about a grain shortage blamed on drought, but rumored to be caused by nobles hoarding supplies. She added a satirical piece calling the royal necropolis her newsroom, joking that the mummies were her silent editors. The humor landed, but it was the grain story that set tongues wagging. People crowded her stall, their voices a mix of excitement and fear. "You speak what we dare not," a woman named Nefert said, her eyes shining. "But beware, Olivia. The nobles do not forgive." Olivia flashed a grin. "Good. I don't ask for forgiveness." Her confidence was infectious. Thebes buzzed with her name, and the Nile dispatch became a symbol of defiance. Young women braided their hair like hers, a single strand loose in a nod to her untamed style. Men offered her wine and trinkets, their flirtations bold but respectful. Olivia laughed them off, her heart too focused on the mission and on the amulet, which grew warmer each night, its dreams of a starry archway more vivid. But the priests were closing in. Thebes' spies trailed her, their shadows flickering in alleys. One night, T slipped into the bakery, her face pale. "Olivia, I heard Ptahmes in the temple. He spoke of a foreign witch stirring unrest. He wants you silenced permanently." Olivia's pulse raced, but she kept her voice steady. "Then we hit harder. Find me something on Tom's, something big." T nodded, her jaw set. "I'll listen at the noble baths. They talk freely there." The breakthrough came a week later. T returned with a bombshell. Thomas was diverting temple offerings gold, grain, even sacred oil stow a secret storehouse in the desert. He and a noble named Mena were selling the goods to foreign traders, pocketing the wealth while the poor starved. It was the story Olivia had been chasing, the kind that could shake Thebes to its core. She and Khepri worked through the night, crafting a special edition of the dispatch. Olivia's words were fire, accusing Thoms by name and detailing the theft with T's overheard evidence. She added a call to action. "People of Thebes, demand the truth. Your gods deserve better. Your city deserves better." Khepri's hieroglyphs were sharp and elegant, the papyrus a weapon in their hands. Dawn broke, and the newsboys fanned out, their small hands clutching stacks of the dispatch. Olivia stood in the marketplace, her heart pounding as the city awoke to her words. The reaction was electric. Crowds gathered, reading aloud, their voices rising in anger. Merchants refused to sell to temple priests, and laborers chanted Olivia's name. She felt a thrill, the same rush she'd gotten, breaking stories in Vegas. This was power. This was change. But power came at a cost. By midday, soldiers stormed the marketplace, led by Horemheb, the stern commander who'd burned her papers weeks ago. His eyes locked on Olivia, and the crowd parted, their cheers fading to murmurs. "Olivia Harper," Horemheb said, his voice carrying over the square. "You are summoned to the palace. The Pharaoh wishes to see you." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Olivia's mouth went dry, but she squared her shoulders, the amulet a steady weight against her chest. "About time," she said, her tone defiant. "I've got a few things to say to him." Horemheb's lips twitched, almost a smile, but his grip on his spear was firm. As the soldiers escorted her through Thebes, Olivia felt the city's eyes on her, hopeful, fearful, expectant. The palace loomed ahead, its columns carved with gods and kings. She was walking into the lion's den, and she had no idea if she'd walk out. The throne room was a marvel of gold and lapis lazuli, its air heavy with incense. Pharaoh Amenhotep sat on a throne of ebony, his face unreadable beneath a blue and gold headdress. Thebes stood at his side, his leopard skin cloak gleaming, his smile venomous. Nobles and priests lined the walls, their whispers like a nest of vipers. Olivia stood alone, her linen dress simple but striking, her posture unyielding. "You are the foreigner who writes these papers," Amenhotep said, his voice deep and measured. "You accuse my high priest of crimes. You stir my people to unrest. Why should I not have you cast into the desert?" Olivia's heart hammered, but she met his gaze. "Because I speak the truth, Your Majesty. Tom steals from your temples, your people. I have proof witnesses, records. Let me show you, and Thebes will thank you for it." Thebes laughed, a cold, cutting sound. "This woman is a liar, a sorceress. She wears a strange amulet, speaks of foreign lands. She is no scribe, but a deceiver. Seize her." Soldiers stepped forward, but Amenhotep raised a hand, his eyes narrowing. "You claim proof, Olivia Harper. I will hear it. But know this, if you fail, your words will be your doom." Olivia nodded, her mind racing. She had T's testimony, but it wasn't enough. She needed hard evidence ledgers, stolen goods, something undeniable, and she needed it fast. The Pharaoh's patience was thin, and Thebes's influence was thick. That night, confined to a palace chamber under guard, Olivia paced, the amulet glowing faintly. She dreamed again of the starry archway, the voice whispering, "The truth is your path, but the gate awaits." When she woke, a plan formed. I had mentioned the desert storehouse. If Olivia could find it, she could expose Thebes and save herself, but it meant escaping the palace, evading Horemheb's soldiers, and trusting her newsboys to spread the word. The escape was a gamble. Olivia bribed a guard with a story half-truths about her foreign wealth and slipped into the night, her boots silent on the palace stones. She met Anpu at the Nile's edge, where he waited with a reed boat. His young face was grim but determined. "You're mad, Olivia," he said, handing her a cloak. "But we're with you. The newsboys are ready." She grinned, ruffling his hair. "Mad's my middle name, kid. Let's do this." The desert was a sea of shadows, the storehouse a squat structure hidden among dunes. Olivia crept inside, her breath shallow. Crates of grain, jars of oil, and gold ingots gleamed in the moonlight. She found a ledger, its hieroglyphs listing Tom's transactions. Jackpot. But as she tucked the ledger under her arm, torches flared. Mena, the noble conspirator, stood at the entrance, his dagger glinting. "You should have stayed in your cage, foreigner," he snarled. Olivia's heart leapt to her throat. She was alone, unarmed, and cornered. But she was Olivia Harper, and she didn't go down without a fight. "Big mistake, Mena," she said, her voice steady. "Thebes knows your name now. My newsboys are spreading the story as we speak." Mena lunged, but a shout stopped him. Horemheb appeared, his soldiers behind him. Olivia braced for arrest, but Horemheb's eyes were on Mena. "The Pharaoh sent me," he said. "Your crimes are known, Mena. Stand down." Olivia's knees nearly buckled with relief. The newsboys had done their job, delivering the dispatch to the palace. Mena was seized, the ledger confiscated. Horemheb turned to Olivia, his expression unreadable. "You are either a fool or a genius, woman. Come, the Pharaoh awaits." Back in the throne room, Olivia presented the ledger, her voice ringing with conviction. T and other witnesses bolder now confirmed the thefts. Tamz's face twisted with rage, but Amenhotep's verdict was swift. The priest was stripped of his titles, his wealth redistributed to the temples. Thebes erupted in celebration, Olivia's name a chant on the streets. But the victory was bittersweet. As Olivia stood on a palace balcony, the city glittering below, Horemheb approached, his voice low. "You have the Pharaoh's favor, but Tom's has allies. They will not forget." Olivia nodded, the amulet warm against her skin. "I'm not done yet, Horemheb. There's more truth to find." He studied her, a spark of admiration in his eyes. "Then may the gods protect you, Olivia Harper." That night, she dreamed of the starry archway again, the voice louder, "The gate awaits." Thebes was her battleground, but the amulet was her key. To what? She didn't know. But Olivia was ready to find out. Thebes glittered under the moon, its limestone spires casting long shadows over the Nile. Olivia Harper stood on the balcony of her new quarters in the palace, a reward from Pharaoh Amenhotep for exposing Thomas's corruption. Her linen dress, now embroidered with gold thread, hugged her curves, a far cry from her Vegas jeans. The amulet pulsed against her chest, its warmth a constant reminder of the mystery that had brought her to 1000 BCE. Below, the city hummed with her name, the Nile dispatch now a beacon of truth. But victory was fragile, and danger lurked in the shadows. The Pharaoh's decree had come at dawn, delivered by Horemheb, the stoic commander whose respect Olivia had grudgingly earned. "Cease your writings for 2 days," Horemheb had said, his voice like gravel. "The nobles demand it, and the Pharaoh grants them this to quell unrest. Defy this, and you will be banished to the Red Land, where none return." Olivia's blood had boiled. 2 days of silence was a death sentence for her momentum. Thebes was a city of whispers, and without the Nile dispatch, rumors would fester, eroding the trust she'd built. Worse, Ptamz's allies, priests, and nobles who'd escaped her exposé were circling like vultures. She'd heard their names in T's reports: Senenmut, a cunning vizier, and Hathor, a priestess with a serpent's charm. They wanted her gone, and banishment was a polite word for execution. But Olivia Harper didn't bow to ultimatums. She'd faced down deadlines and mob threats in Las Vegas. A Pharaoh's edict was just another challenge. To survive, she needed a story bigger than Patam's thefts scandal, so explosive. It would force Amenhotep to protect her. The amulet, glowing hotter each night, whispered of secrets. Her dreams of the starry archway grew vivid, the voice urging, "The truth is your path, but the gate awaits." Olivia knew the amulet was key, not just to her survival, but to her way home. The plan was reckless, even by Olivia's standards. She gathered her crew Khepri, the sharp-witted scribe, T, the washerwoman with ears like a hawk, and Anpu, the loyal apprenticing Mireille's bakery. The air thick with the scent of foreigners' bread. The table was strewn with papyrus scraps, Olivia's notes scrawled in a mix of English and Khepri's hieroglyphs. "We've got 2 days," Olivia said, her hazel eyes blazing. "Senenmut and Hathor are hiding something. Tai, you said Hathor was meeting foreign traders in secret. That's our lead. We find out what they're trading and we print it. Hard evidence, no rumors." T nodded, her fingers twisting her shawl. "I heard her at the baths, whispering of a gift for the gods stored in the temple of Karnak. But the temple is guarded, Olivia. Only priests enter the inner sanctum. Then we get in," Olivia said, her voice steady. "Khepri, can you forge a priest's seal?" Khepri's jaw dropped. "You want to break into Karnak? That's sacrilege. The gods." "The gods can wait," Olivia cut in, her smile daring. "I'm not here to pray. I'm here to save our necks." Anpu grinned, his young face alight with mischief. "I know a tunnel under the temple. Smugglers use it. I can get us in." Olivia ruffled his hair, her heart swelling. "That's my newsboy. Let's move." The Temple of Karnak loomed like a fortress of gods, its pylons carved with scenes of divine triumph. By midnight, Olivia and her crew crouched in the shadows, Anpu leading them to a hidden grate beneath a sycamore tree. The tunnel was damp and narrow, the air heavy with earth and secrets. Olivia's boots scraped the stone, the amulet glowing faintly, guiding her like a compass. Inside the temple, the inner sanctum was a maze of torchlit corridors. Khepri's forged Sela wax tablet etched with a priest's insignia got them past the outer guards, but Olivia's pulse raced. One wrong move, and they'd be caught. T's whispered directions led them to a locked chamber, its door inlaid with lapis lazuli. Anpu picked the lock with a potter's tool, his hands steady despite the danger. The chamber was a treasure trove. Chests overflowed with gold, emeralds, and strange artifacts, obsidian blades, jade figurines, none Egyptian. But the centerpiece was a crate marked with a foreign script, its wood scarred from travel. Olivia pried it open, revealing a cache of powdered resin, its scent sharp and unfamiliar. "Opium," Olivia whispered, her journalist's instincts kicking in. She'd covered drug busts in Nevada. She knew the smell. Hathor's trading drugs with foreigners, using the temple as a front. This is bigger than Patam's. Khepri's eyes widened. This could destroy her, but if we're caught, we won't be, Olivia said, though her heart pounded. She pocketed a sample of the resin and a scroll listing trade routes, her mind already crafting the dispatch headline, "Priestess of Amen sells poison in the House of Gods." But as they turned to leave, footsteps echoed. Hathor stood in the doorway, her coal-lined eyes glittering with malice. She wore a diaphanous gown, her presence both alluring and deadly. Behind her, Senenmut loomed, his vizier's staff gleaming. Guards flanked them, spears drawn. "You are bold, foreigner," Hathor purred, her voice like honey laced with venom. "But boldness ends here. The Pharaoh will not save you now." Olivia's mind raced. They were trapped, the evidence in her hands a death sentence. But she was Olivia Harper, and she thrived in corners. "You're the one who's done, Hathor," she said, her voice steady. "Thebes knows your secret. My newsboys are spreading the story as we speak." Hathor laughed, but a flicker of doubt crossed her face. "Lies. You have no proof." Olivia held up the scroll, her smile defiant. "This says otherwise. Care to explain it to the Pharaoh?" Senenmut snarled, lunging forward, but a shout stopped him. Horemheb appeared, his soldiers flooding the chamber. Olivia's knees nearly buckled with relief. Anpu's newsboys had done their job, slipping a rushed dispatch to the palace. Horemheb's eyes met hers, a spark of respect in their depths. "The Pharaoh demands your presence," he said, his voice calm but firm. "All of you." The throne room was a cauldron of tension, the air thick with incense and accusation. Amenhotep sat on his throne, his face a mask of fury. Olivia stood before him, the resin and scroll in her hands, her crew at her side. Hathor and Senenmut knelt, their composure cracking. The nobles and priests watched, their whispers a storm. "You defy my decree," Amenhotep said, his voice like thunder. "You were to cease your writings, yet you break into my temple. Speak, Olivia Harper, before I cast you out." Olivia's heart pounded, but she met his gaze, her voice clear. "I defied you to save Thebes, Your Majesty. Hathor and Senenmut trade poison in your god's name, profaning your temples, starving your people. Here is the proof." She presented the resin and scroll, her hands steady. "Read it. Judge for yourself." Hathor's face paled, but she rose, her voice silky. "This woman is a sorceress, my lord. She conjures lies, bewitches your city. The amulet she wears it is not of Kemet. She is no scribe, but a demon." The crowd gasped, eyes on Olivia's chest, where the amulet glowed through her dress. Amenhotep leaned forward, his gaze piercing. "Show me this amulet." Olivia hesitated, her instincts screaming. The amulet was her secret, her link to home, but refusal meant death. She lifted it, its obsidian surface catching the torchlight. The room fell silent, the air electric. Amenhotep's eyes widened, a flicker of recognition crossing his face. "This is known to me," he said, his voice low. "A relic of the gods, lost to time. How came you by it?" Olivia's mind raced. The truth time travel was too wild. She chose a half-truth. "It was a gift, Your Majesty, from a far land. It guides me to the truth. And the truth is Hathor's betrayal." Amenhotep studied her, then turned to the scroll. Khepri translated its contents, his voice steady despite the stakes. T and Anpu testified, their courage bolstering Olivia's. The evidence was undeniable. Hathor's charm crumbled, her pleas drowned by Senenmut's curses. The Pharaoh's verdict was swift. Hathor and Senenmut were stripped of their titles, their wealth seized, their fates sealed in exile. Thebes erupted in cheers, Olivia's name a chant that echoed through the palace. Amenhotep rose, his voice silencing the crowd. "You have served Kemet, Olivia Harper," he said. "Your writings may continue under my protection, but the amulet's power is not yours to wield. Surrender it, and you may remain." Olivia's heart stopped. The amulet was her only link to 2025. to Vegas, to home. But refusal meant losing everything she'd built in Thebes. She clutched it, her mind a storm. The crowd watched, breathless, as she faced the Pharaoh, her future hanging by a thread. "I'll keep it," she said, her voice soft but firm. "It's mine, and I'm not done with Thebes yet." Amenhotep's eyes narrowed, but a spark of respect flickered. "So be it. But know this, the gods watch you, Olivia Harper. Tread carefully." That night, Olivia stood on the palace balcony, the city alive below. The amulet glowed, its dreams of the starry archway sharper than ever. She'd won, but cost was high. Hathor's allies lurked, and the Pharaoh's protection was a double-edged sword. Khepri joined her, his presence a quiet comfort. "You're a storm, Olivia," he said, his voice warm. "Thebes will never be the same." She smiled, but her eyes were on the horizon. "Good. It shouldn't be. But there's more to this, Khepri. The amulet, it's calling me somewhere." He nodded, his gaze thoughtful. The priest spoke of a gate, hidden in the desert. "A place of the gods. Perhaps your amulet knows it." Olivia's pulse quickened. The gate, the voice in her dreams. Thebes was her battleground, but the amulet was her destiny. She'd faced corruption, defied a pharaoh, and survived. Whatever lay beyond the gate, she was ready. Thebes shimmered in the twilight, its golden spires reflecting the dying sun as the Nile whispered secrets to the reeds. Olivia Harper stood at the edge of the city, her linen dress clinging to her sweat-slicked skin, the gold embroidery catching the light like a beacon. The amulet pulsed against her chest, its obsidian surface alive with the heat that matched her resolve. She was no longer just a journalist. From Las Vegas, she was a legend in Kemet, her Nile dispatch, a sword that had felled corrupt priests and nobles. But the victory over Hathor and Senenmut was a fleeting flame. The pharaoh's protection was a gilded cage, and the amulet's dreams of a starry gate grew louder, pulling her toward an unknown destiny. The city adored her. Market women wove her name into songs, children drew her likeness on papyrus, and men offered her lotus flowers with shy smiles. Yet, danger lingered. Thebes' allies, though scattered, whispered of vengeance, and the pharaoh's demand for her amulet echoed in her mind: surrender it or risk everything. Olivia's fingers traced its edges, her hazel eyes narrowing. The amulet was her tether to 2025, her only hope of returning to neon-lit Vegas. But it was also her power in Thebes, a relic that stirred fear and awe. She wouldn't give it up, not yet. Her crew, Khepri, T, and Anpu waited in Mered's bakery, their faces etched with worry. The air was thick with the scent of foreigners' bread and the tension of what came next. Khepri had spoken of a desert gate, a place of gods hidden beyond the dunes. The amulet's dreams confirmed it, an archway of stars, a voice promising truth and passage. Olivia knew she had to find it, not just to escape the noble's wrath, but to unravel the amulet's mystery. Was it her way home, or something greater? The decision came at midnight, under a sky ablaze with stars. Olivia gathered her crew, her voice low but electric. "We're not done," she said, her eyes glinting like the Nile under moonlight. "There's a gate in the desert, and this amulet is the key. It's calling me, maybe to home, maybe to answers, but I need you with me." T's hands trembled, but her jaw was set. "You've given us courage, Olivia. I'll follow you, even to the gods' domain." Anpu grinned, his young face alight. I've snuck through worse than deserts. Count me in. Khepri hesitated, his ink-stained fingers twitching. This gate, the priests call it the mouth of Anubis. It's forbidden, cursed. Those who seek it vanish. Olivia's smile was daring, her voice a velvet challenge. Good. I like a story with stakes. You in or you out? Khepri met her gaze, a spark of defiance igniting. In, but if we die, I'm blaming you. She laughed, the sound rich and defiant, echoing through the bakery. The plan was set. They'd slip out of Thebes at dawn, guided by Anpu's smuggler contacts, and Tease overheard rumors of a caravan route to the gate. Olivia would carry the amulet, its glow their only map. But first, they needed one last dispatch-a parting shot to keep Thebes buzzing and cover their escape. The special edition was her boldest yet. Olivia wrote of the gate, cloaking it in myth. A portal to the gods lies beyond the sands, guarded by truth. Will Kemet dare to seek it? She exposed the nobles' lingering plots, naming names, Meritaden, a scheming princess, and Nebamun, a treasurer with blood on his hands. She ended with a call to the people. Thebes, your voice is your power. Speak, and the gods will listen. Khepri's hieroglyphs danced across the papyrus, sharp and elegant, while Anpu's newsboys prepared to flood the city at first light. As the ink dried, Olivia felt a thrill, the same rush she'd chased in Vegas newsrooms. This was her legacy, her rebellion. But the amulet's heat against her skin reminded her the story wasn't over. The gate awaited. Dawn broke, and Thebes erupted. The dispatch spread like wildfire, its words sparking debates in markets and temples. Olivia and her crew slipped through the city's chaos, cloaked in traders' robes, their faces shadowed. Anpu led them to a caravan of Bedouin merchants, their camels laden with spices and secrets. The leader, a weathered man named Rahim, eyed Olivia's amulet with suspicion, but accepted her gold bartered from Murray's bakery profits. The desert was a furnace, its dunes stretching like an endless sea. Olivia's boots sank into the sand, her dress clinging to her thighs as she walked, the amulet glowing brighter with each step. Khepri muttered prayers to Thoth. Ti clutched a water skin, and Anpu scouted ahead, his eyes sharp. The caravan moved slowly, Rahim's warnings of bandits and sandstorms keeping them on edge. By nightfall, they camped under a cliff, its shadow offering fleeting relief. Olivia sat by the fire, the amulet casting an eerie light. Rahim approached, his voice low. That relic you wear, it's no trinket. The Bedouins speak of a gate that swallows men. If you seek it, you tempt fate. She met his gaze, her smile sultry yet defiant. Fate and I have a history, Rahim. I don't tempt, I challenge. He chuckled, a spark of admiration in his eyes, but his warning lingered. That night, Olivia dreamed of the gate, an arch of black stone, stars swirling within, the voice now a chorus. The truth is your path. Enter and become. She woke, her skin tingling, the amulet scalding. The gate was close, she felt it. The second day brought trouble. As the caravan neared a canyon, arrows rained from the dunes. Bandits, cloaked in black, descended with curved blades. Olivia's heart raced, but she was no stranger to danger. She grabbed a fallen spear, its weight unfamiliar, but steady in her hands. Khepri, Ti, behind the camels, she shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. Anpu darted to her side, a sling in his hand, stones flying with deadly aim. The fight was brutal, sand and blood mixing under the sun. Olivia swung the spear, her movements fueled by adrenaline and instinct. Rahim's men fought fiercely, but the bandits were relentless. Just as Olivia drove her spear into a bandit's shoulder, a cry froze her. T was cornered, a blade at her throat. Olivia's blood ran cold. "Drop the spear, foreigner," the bandit leader snarled, his eyes gleaming. "Or she dies." Olivia's mind raced. The amulet burned, its light flaring. She felt a surge, like a current through her veins. "You want me?" she said, her voice low, seductive, drawing his gaze. "Come and get me." The leader hesitated, caught by her boldness. It was enough. Anpu's stone hit his temple, and he crumpled. Olivia lunged, freeing T as Rahim's men finished the fight. The bandits fled, leaving their dead in the sand. Olivia collapsed, her breath ragged, the amulet's glow fading. T clung to her, tears in her eyes. "You're mad, Olivia, but you saved me." Olivia grinned, her voice hoarse. "Mad's my brand, T. Stick with me." But the attack was no coincidence. Among the bandits' gear, Khepri found a seal bearing Meritaten's crest. The princess was hunting them, her reach longer than Olivia had feared. The gate was their only hope now. On the third day, the canyon opened to a valley, and there it was, the mouth of Anubis. The gate was a monolith of black stone, its surface carved with constellations, stars swirling within like a living cosmos. The amulet blazed, its light merging with the gate's glow. Olivia's crew stood frozen, awe and fear in their eyes. Even Rahim, hardened by deserts, whispered a prayer. "This is it," Olivia said, her voice steady despite the storm in her chest. "The amulet brought me here. I have to go through." Khepri grabbed her arm, his voice urgent. "Olivia, we don't know what's beyond. You could be lost forever." She met his gaze, her smile soft but fierce. "I've been lost before, Khepri. In Vegas, in Thebes. I always find my way." T stepped forward, her voice trembling. "What if it's not home? What if it's something else?" Olivia's fingers brushed the amulet. "It's heat, a promise. Then I'll write the story, and you'll spread it." Anpu hugged her, his voice muffled. "Come back, Olivia. Thebes needs you." She ruffled his hair, her throat tight. "Keep the dispatch alive, kid. That's your job now." As she approached the gate, hoofbeats thundered. Meritaten soldiers, led by Nebamun, crested the dunes, their spears gleaming. Olivia's heart sank. They were trapped, the gate her only escape. But she wouldn't leave her crew to die. "Run!" she shouted, turning to face the soldiers. The amulet flared, its light blinding. A pulse of energy surged, knocking the front line back. Olivia staggered, the power draining her. Khepri pulled her toward the gate, his voice desperate. "Go, Olivia, we'll hold them." T and Anpu stood with Rahim's men, makeshift weapons in hand. Olivia's eyes burned with tears, but she nodded. "I'll find you, I swear." She stepped into the gate, the stars swallowing her. The world dissolved, a chorus of voices chanting, "The truth is your path, become." Light and shadow merged, and Olivia Harper vanished, the amulet's glow fading into the void. In Thebes, the dispatch spread her final words, her legend growing. Khepri, T, and Anpu fought off Meritaten's men, Rahim's caravan their shield. They returned to the city, vowing to keep Olivia's truth alive. But whispers grew of a woman who'd walked with gods, her amulet a key to worlds unknown. Where had she gone? Was she home or lost in a realm beyond? The mouth of Anubis stood silent, its stars dim, but in the desert, a new papyrus appeared, its hieroglyphs unsigned. The foreigner's tale is not done. Seek her story in the sands. Thebes buzzed, hungry for more, their eyes on the horizon. And somewhere, in a place of light or shadow, Olivia Harper held her amulet, her heart racing. The truth was her path, and the next chapter was hers to write. Want to know where Olivia's journey leads? Dive into the sands with Usher. Next tale awaits in our upcoming story, only on this channel. Stay curious, Thebes awaits.